everybody. Welcome to Bayou Bets. It is Thursday, December the 14th, 2023. It's about ready to get started. We've got a whole show worth of Saints talk and big bucks coming up. We'll show you our topics in just a moment. But first, we'll remind you that Caesars Sportsbook is the official odds partner of bet.nola.com. Every number you see on the screen coming up comes from our friends at Caesars. And we'll get that in a little bit. Also, we ask you to subscribe to the Bayou Bets YouTube channel. That way you can always know when we're going on. We have some weird times coming up. Next week we're on Tuesday instead of Monday, and we only have one show here next week. And then after Christmas, we'll have a special time. We'll be on Thursday and Friday after Christmas, with the Friday show being a special bowl projection show when all four of us here at Bayou Bets will be on the show. It should be a whole lot of fun. I welcome in Thomas Casale to the show. And Tom, what's going on this afternoon? I put on the wrong slide as we show you the topics.
Not too much. You're getting ready for that Saints-Giants game. We'll talk about it. The fans up here in New York you would have thought that the Giants were ahead of the Cowboys and the Eagles.
That's what we're gonna get to that. I can't wait because we are indeed preparing for Tommy DeVito mania. If anyone watched the Monday night football game between the Giants and the Packers, it was nuts. All we seeing is this, he's Casale. I'm married to an Anselmo. I mean, we got Italian going on. It's exciting here, right? I mean, something's got to be exciting, because we also ask, and I know the fans will be looking forward to this segment, is DA in real trouble? Now, we can sit here and say what we want to happen, but there's a big difference between what we want to happen and what we think might happen. There's a report out from ESPN that we're going to kind of dive into in our second segment that I'm looking forward to getting some response out of you guys. If you want to comment, if you have any questions or you want to comment and you're watching on either YouTube or you're watching on Facebook, you can leave your comment in the comment stream. We will put it on the screen and we will talk about it here. That's all show here anytime. And at the end, we're going to give you our big bucks, which is our picks for the week, and we will reveal who is the turkey of the week. We'll get to that in just a little bit. But first, let's move on to the Saints. And here we're talking about Thomas. I don't know how to get that off the screen, Gabe, by the way. We're talking about the Saints. There you go. Thank you. Tommy DeVito, hot Giants. They've won 3 in a row. They're coming to town to face the Saints. The Saints are 6-point favorites, and I know a lot of people I've talked to this week thought that was kind of a crazy line, but I actually kind of think it's on point. We'll get to what we think as far as prediction-wise in a little bit, but the Giants mania, you talked about it, being from up north, up in New York. They went from being 2-8 and dead, and Giants fans, I hope they lose the rest of their games, kind of like Saints fans are doing to some extent. It's different now, isn't it?
Yeah, listen, I'm taking it on the chin up here. So just so everyone knows, I live near Syracuse, so I follow Syracuse football pretty closely. And DeVito was one of their top recruits in a long time, and it just didn't work out. To be fair, he had some injuries. The offensive line wasn't great, but he got benched for Garrett Schrader, who can barely throw a forward pass. So it just didn't work out. Yeah, so there you go. And DeVito was supposed to be like he's a big reason why Dino Babers got fired. That was Dino's big time bring in to get a quarterback, and it didn't work. So, I'm surprised that he's playing in the NFL. I would have lost a lot of money if I could bet on that, but I'm being dead serious, Jim, dead serious when I tell you, after he led the game-winning drive last night, I got texts from Giants fans that said, "Forget Jaden Daniels, give us Malik Neighbors. We got our quarterback." I'm not even joking. That's how crazy things are here.
They really, that is really crazy, because people don't realize, and I know he was thrown to the Wolves in one game. The game that he came in, the Giants had -9 yards passing for the game. And you see their rankings. DeVito's come in. If he was any decent quarterback, I got to be honest, I think they'd be better than, they would at least moved up a little bit. But no, they're dead last in the NFL in passing offense. The only reason why they're not dead last in total offense is because of Saquon Barkley. But Saquon Barkley can't do it all.
No. And part of this, and we talked about this in the production meeting, Jim, is I always believe we have been in NFL locker rooms and players know stuff before us. And this whole this whole feeling feels like these players wanted anything but Daniel Jones. You know what I mean? Like they got something new. They got something they could sink their teeth in. They see Daniel Jones and he's probably a nice guy and all that stuff, but I don't think they believe he can play. And the other thing about the Giants you have to remember is if you polled the players before the season, and they just blind poll and asked them who they thought should have got paid, Saquon Barkley or Daniel Jones, who do you think wins that vote?
Oh, there's no doubt about Saquon. I never
Right.
understood what they were giving Daniel Jones all that money for in the first place.
And so you got to figure some of those players are sitting there going, really? 160 million? And so I just feel like this guy coming in and listen, I'm Italian, as you mentioned. I hate the whole Goomba thing. I can't stand his agent. I think he does a disservice to the Italian people. I really do, but listen, it's caught fire. If his name was Tommy Smith, probably none of this would happen. They're selling cutlets. His father's getting in heating business or plumbing business, whatever the heck he does, out the wazoo. The guy's got his own commercials on WFAN now. So it's pretty crazy. But like I said, Jim, this reminded me a little bit of something you had down there years ago with John Forcade when he came in and he was the local boy.
Many years ago.
And Saints fans really wanted that to work, right? Because it was a great story.
Yeah, and it didn't work. And those things don't usually work. They do every now and then, but they don't work. And look, I get the Saints' frustration. I understand it. We talk about Derek Carr. We've been talking about the frustrating mess that has become Derek Carr over the past several weeks, maybe all season if you want to go look. But when has Derek Carr been good? When he's healthy. When he's been bad. When he's not healthy. He wasn't healthy last week. He was terrible. Is he healthy this week? I have no idea. I mean,
right.
We don't know. But it all comes down to this coaching staff, again, what we're going to get down to in just a little bit. But look, the Giants are in a similar situation. The only difference with the Giants and the Saints is I don't think there are any Giants fans. Well, I'm sure there's one or two somewhere, but you're going to be hard-pressed to find a Giants fan who wants to fire Brian Daboll, whereas you'd be hard-pressed to find a Saints fan who doesn't want to fire Dennis Allen.
Yeah, and and you never know how players are going to respond late in the season. Like we said, it all depends on how the locker room feels. The Giants, they're rejuvenated. They're not that great, but you mentioned last week. I mean, you mentioned to me in the production meeting last week, they played with fire. They were flying around out there. I thought that was going to be the game where he kind of turned back into a pumpkin, but one thing about the Packers is, too, they're the youngest team in the NFL. So young teams breed inconsistency. And to be completely honest, and I'm not trying to I know it's still early, but to me, Jordan Love's a guy who's going to win you 7 or 8 games a year.
Yeah.
That's just how I feel. I don't know if he's going to be the guy in Green Bay that's going to take him to the promised land. So the Giants played hard. DeVito made some plays. I just find it interesting, Jim, like, tell me if Rex or Buddy Ryan face DeVito, does he complete a pass? They're going to blitz every play. They don't have receivers, right? They're going to jam. Like, I don't really know what the Packers were doing, especially in that late drive where everybody was just wide open.
Well, that gets me to my analysis of this game. And when we look at this game, this was one where I went into it, and before I started looking at numbers, I was thinking, you know what? Maybe this is the week that I pick the Giants to win and pick the Saints to lose at home and pick the big upset, because I haven't really. I hate that I've been kind of, I don't know if faith is the right word, but believing that the Saints were going to find a way because of their talent. And so I was thinking after the Carolina game, because they frankly, I mean, that was the biggest fake 22-point win you're ever going to see. I mean, I'm serious. I dare anyone to go back through the annals of the past 5 years even and find me a bigger farce of a 3-touchdown victory than the Saints win over the Panthers. They only gained 207 yards, total yards. And the Panthers had 204 rushing yards last week. So, but coming into this game and looking at the numbers, though, the analysis just points to the Saints. And I know Houdats probably don't believe they're going to lose this week or whatever, or either that or they're going to have to find a way. But the numbers scream Saints here, Tom, because if you look at it, we talked about it. DeVito hasn't faced a defense like this. And what is Dennis Allen best at? Putting his players in the position to cover the pass. Hence why they're 7th against the pass. Their defensive ranking is not as good as it was 4 or 6 weeks ago, but they're still 7th against the pass. And I know they're going to try to give you a heavy dose of Saquon, but that only works for so long. And I just think the Saints are going to blitz the hell out of DeVito, and he's going to face a tougher time this Sunday than he's faced in any of his previous 4 games.
Yeah, and listen, I'll be honest, he's played better than I thought he would, but let's take away the narrative and look at what he's done. Washington, a historically bad pass defense, he played good in that game. We'll give him that. The Patriots game, the Giants went an hour without getting a first down, okay? Yeah. They scored 10 points, and 7 of those points came when they got the ball in plus territory. He did nothing in that game. And in the third quarter of the Packers game, I was getting ready to tweet out Tommy DeVito has 66 yards passing. Now I didn't, because usually when I tweet out that stuff, I jinx myself, and I was rooting against them. But just to show you where we were in the third quarter, DeVito didn't have 250 yards passing. He had 66 and a couple of scrambles. So when you look at it that way, the narrative is bigger than what he's actually done.
Well, Carr only had 37 passing yards through 3 quarters. So I know a lot of Saints fans are screaming at their phones, TVs, computers, wherever they're watching us on. They're screaming at that, and they're right. So, again, when you talk about Derek Carr, it's a different situation because you're talking about a Derek Carr. I'm not making excuses for him, but it's a fact. He's played poorly when he's injured, and he's played at least average to well when he's not injured. You can go look at the numbers. I mean, I'm not just saying – it's not an opinion. It's fact. So – it's the coach's fault, in my opinion, for putting him out there when he shouldn't be out there. There was no reason to start him last week. That's a whole different story. But when you're doing the analysis again for this game, I just don't see – again, I wouldn't touch this game with a stick. I joked about in my NFL column this morning, my NFL picks column this morning, that if someone offered me, here's a $20 bill that you can put in your pocket, or I'll give you a $100 free bet at Caesars, but you got to bet it on the Saints-Giants spread, which one would you take? I'd say, give me the Andrew Jackson, and I'll put it in my pocket. I mean, because that's how hard this is to pick. But that being said, if I had to pick one way or the other, I got to say I'd take Saints -6 because I think this could snowball on them a little bit. If the Giants realize, hey, this is going to be a little tougher than we thought it was, I just think the Saints could, use that to their advantage. I really like Saints first half bet as well. I think the Saints win this one kind of going away.
Okay, yeah, listen, I hope you're right. I can't, like I said, the Cowboys are arguably, and I'm a Cowboys fan, are arguably the second best team in the NFL. And you would have thought, with my friends, you would have thought that the roles were reversed. You would have thought that the Cowboys had the Giants. That's how happy everybody is. And there's one thing I can't stand, that's seeing Giants fans happy. So I'll be rooting for the Saints with you.
That's pretty funny. I mean, you don't have a lot of Cowboys fans, although Cowboys fans are everywhere, though. But there's not a ton of Cowboys fans. I imagine where you're from.
No, there's a few. I'm in Giants country. There's some Jets fans. There's some Bills fans. But this is all my cousins, most of my friends, they're diehard Giants fans, and the problem is my cousins are Italian like me, and boy, they're loving this stuff. All the memes I'm getting from them, oh boy, it's got to end. Please
please stop it. Stop sending it to me.
Yeah, stop. Please right, just end the madness. I hope the Saints and listen, maybe he's the next we talked about it. Maybe people forget Tony Romo was undrafted, right? And he was on the team for a couple of years. I'm just saying, maybe that's what it is. I don't know, but I don't think it is.
I will say this, though. Brian Daboll is an offensive guru. I mean, he's
He's done a heck of a job. Yeah.
He really has. And he obviously saw something in this kid that made him that brought him in there. Now, obviously, he was a third-string quarterback. You take a flyer a lot of times with your third-string quarterback. So he probably never saw that Tommy DeVito would ever see the light of day. But with that being said, the Giants actually they've got themselves back into, with the NFC being so bad, they're really legitimately in playoff contention. Now their chances are probably 10%, but they went from being 10-8 to being this story. Remember, the Lions went on a big run last year. I think the Lions won their last, 8 out of their last 9 games or something along those lines. They were terrible in the first part of the season. They made a big comeback. So if they can win, what my point is, they have a chance to make the playoffs, but yet Brian Daboll has a healthy Tyrod Taylor, and there's no question that Tyrod Taylor is a better quarterback than Tommy DeVito. Yet, Brian Daboll has decided to stick with DeVito in the hot hand. So I don't know if he's doing this to say, look, I don't think we're going to make the playoffs anyway. We might as well have fun with it. Or if he's saying, let's just ride the hot hand. Maybe DeVito is better. He would know better than us.
Yeah, and I can tell you this, that I know people who have Giant season tickets, and they said the last couple games, you would have thought the team has Ted, like the place is going crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, normally when you're like 3-8, it's like a morgue in there, right? And you're waiting for the draft. Like they're showing up, people are going nuts.
I can't wait to see what they're wearing in the dome this Sunday because look, we knew there would be no Carolina fans there last week, or hardly any, because Carolina, they don't travel well anyway, and the fact that they're 1-12, we knew that they weren't going to travel. There were going to be a lot of empty seats in the dome, and there were. But this week, while I don't think it will be as the sea of blue that we saw against Detroit, I do think there will be plenty of Giants fans there on Sunday, and I'll be very interested to see if they're winning. If they're winning, like what they're wearing. Are they going to be wearing, are they getting into the whole DeVito thing too? I don't know. Chris Reed says the better quarterback is the one the team responds to and plays better with. I don't deny that. That's not what I mean, though, when I say better quarterback. I say the better quarterback who has the better tools, who has the better overall future, I guess. DeVito has no real future in this NFL. I mean, let's get real.
Yeah, who's going to have a longer NFL career?
Exactly. I promise you, 3 years from now, if we ever talk about these Giants again, people will be struggling to remember their name, and they will have to go to Google to find the name Tommy DeVito. They might remember DeVito because of Danny DeVito, but I promise you they won't be remembering his first name.
Right, and he'll probably be, and when they Google him, it'll say Tommy DeVito, quarterback, Orlando Renegades.
That's a very good possibility. If he even makes it in spring leagues that long, we'll see what goes on. All right. Before we move on to big bucks, there was a report out and that I thought was interesting. Again, if you guys want to comment, we'll take it. Be nice about it. Let's be nice about this. And Spencer says they'll remember his agent. I think you're right about that. But let's talk about this report. There was a report out in ESPN today. It's easy to find. Just Google head coaching changes, NFL and ESPN, and I'm sure it'll be one of the first things you see. And it's ranking the potential head coach openings. And Thomas, I found some interesting. I went through and read a lot. I didn't have time to read the whole thing, but obviously I read the part about the Saints and I read the early part. And they listed the 10 coaches they think either already have been. We know that already that Carolina and Vegas will have new coaches next year. And then the other 8, who this guy thinks has the best chance to have a new coach. And so not only does he do that, but he ranks these teams from 1 to 10 on what are the best situations and the best jobs to have. And I found it interesting that the Saints were in there because a lot of, if you would have asked media people even 3-4 weeks ago, obviously Saints fans want Dennis Allen to be replaced, but I don't think that the national media was even looking at the potential of Dennis Allen being replaced, but they're starting to now.
Yeah, and I feel like entering the season, and again, I didn't work here at that point. It was just breaking down teams, and I feel like the belief was the Saints had a pretty good chance to win this division. It was a weak division. They had gotten Derek Carr. The defense was top 10 last year in total defense and scoring defense. To me, things were looking up for the Saints. And it hasn't turned out that way for whatever reason. And I think that's why you're starting to see maybe the change in opinion from certain media people.
Well, and even in this report, when you go through and rank, and they feel exactly the same way I do. When I've talked about this, and whether I've said it on Datitude or whether here on Bayou Bets, I mean, I truly believe this. I was saying this in the pre-production meeting. This Saints team can only go down. It can only get worse. So whether they fired Dennis Allen or not, and I think, if you would have asked me 3 or 4 weeks ago, I would have said there was about a 5% chance. Now I actually think it's probably closer to 20, but I don't think they're going to fire him. I mean, I think they would have to completely collapse, and part of a collapse would be losing this game this week. And you see the games they have remaining on their schedule with lines. By the way, they have opened up officially at Caesars Sportsbook now they're a 4-point underdog. So what we're talking about Monday with them being favored in the rest of their games, Caesars didn't see it that way. They have made the Rams a 4-point favorite for the short week game next week. And then this is not at Caesars. This is actually at other markets. The Saints are 1.5-point favorites right now at Tampa Bay. Hard to find, but you can find that at other markets. And then the Falcons-Saints game is off the board at the moment. Look, this is not a good situation for any coach. That's the problem with if they fire Dennis Allen. I just don't know who they might get because they're in salary cap absolute hell. I mean, we talk about this every year, but no, really, next year, they're going to be in the worst situation they've ever been in. And that's saying something. So that also leads to me thinking that it's probably not a good time to make a change at coach. If you're going to stink next year and you think you're going to stink, if you're Mickey Loomis, you might as well stick with what you have and have a better reason to make a change after next year. You know what I mean?
So let's say they go 2-2 and miss the playoffs. You say he's back.
Oh, I think he's unquestionably back. If they go 2-2 and miss the play, I mean, 2-2 would put them at 8-9. I don't think there's any chance. I don't think there's a snowball's chance in Mexico that he is replaced. I just don't. Or in Cuba, I guess there are some spots where snow exists in Mexico. So I'll say a snowball's chance in Cuba. I don't see it. 8-9. He'd have to do something like say something dumb, or you'd have to have players saying, I can't wait to get out of here, or along those lines. I just don't see it. I mean, you'd have to have some weird circumstance for him to be fired at 8-9.
So let me ask you a question. You and Spencer, you go to the games. What is the feeling like in the locker room after these games? Because I always feel like that people who are in the locker room kind of know more things ahead of time before it gets to the rest of us.
The locker rooms have been totally down, the ones that I've been in. Now, this week is weird because, and Spencer can tell you, they were jumping up and down in the locker rooms this week like they went to the damn playoffs, which I didn't get at all. So it's hard to get a feel. But no, I mean, they're down, but I don't know what kind of down they are. Are they pissed off at Derek Carr? Are they pissed off at other players? Are they pissed off at certain coaches? I just don't know if it's Dennis Allen. Are they pissed off at Pete Carmichael? I mean, I don't know what it is. Dustin McCann's saying are empty. They don't care about empty seats, Dustin. We keep saying this. And Jeff's saying they better go 9-8. They better to go 9-8 for maybe you to get off their ass. But not for the Saints don't care about that. Y'all are missing the point of what this team is. And what I'm saying, if they don't go 7-10 or worse, that he's staying. I'd be shocked, floored if he leaves, if they go better than 7-10. That's my opinion.
So heading into next year, the week 1, let's say, who is Dennis Allen the head coach, and is Derek Carr the quarterback of the New Orleans Saints?
If I had to put a line on it, okay, here's the line that I would put on it. And we understand things in betting lines. If I had to put a betting line on Dennis Allen being the coach and Derek Carr being the quarterback, they go together. So it's a parlay. I'd say it's at least, at worst, minus 200 that is the case, and you'd have to get plus 250 to bet against it. I mean,
okay.
Look, and here's what fans are missing. You're missing the point, Jeff. You are completely missing the point. You can call this team a dumpster fire, and for the most part, I agree with you. I don't think I'd go as far to call them a dumpster fire. I am in no way, shape, or form backing Dennis Allen or Derek Carr right now. No way, shape, or form. I don't make the decisions. I'm trying to tell you what will happen, not what I think should happen or what the fans want to happen. Because what I think should happen and what the fans want to happen are two completely different things than what the Saints are going to do. And again, I'm going to say this again, and here's the number one reason why I don't think Dennis Allen will be replaced. And I want people to understand this. It's not necessarily because even maybe Mickey Loomis thinks they need to make a change. Maybe in his head, But why would you make a change? And this, I will be back in Dennis Allen a little bit. I think this team, again, I've said this before, I think this team is going to be awful, like 4-win kind of awful next year. I don't think there's anything they can do in free agency. They don't have any money. They can't bring anybody in. They're not going to be able to re-sign a lot of the veterans that they already have. They're stuck with Derek Carr, whether you like it or not. So if you were Mickey Loomis, why would you bring in some young coach to take over a dumpster fire that's only going to burn bigger than it is now? It's going to continue to burn. It's going to be out of control burning. So you might as well let everybody hate the Saints next year and start from scratch. This reminds me of, think back to, I don't know, 1993 or so, for those old enough to remember. And what happened with the Saints and when Jim Mora quit and this team was out of, just spiraling out of control. And they were a mess salary cap wise then as well. And who did they bring in to replace Jim Mora? They brought in Mike Ditka. You brought in this old, crusty guy who couldn't coach before, who got lucky because he had one of the best defenses in the history of the NFL to win a Super Bowl, and he had Walter Payton. And you bring him in here, and they go, I don't know, 6, 12, 15, and whatever over the course. They won 15 games in 3 years. That's where this team is going right now. But there's no reason to replace Dennis Allen if it's not going to get any better next year. In fact, get worse. So it's not necessarily because he needs to be replaced, but I think you replace him after the 24 season, or at least during the season at some point next year, because things do get better in 25. The salary cap gets better. If Derek Carr stinks again next year, they're able to replace him. So, and do I think I know everything? Ricky, if I can show this, my mouse isn't working here. It won't let me show it. Gabe, if you could show that Ricky Simmons quote, I'm having trouble with my mouse. I think I know everything. I'm assuming you're meaning me. I don't think I know everything. I'm giving you my point of view. I'm not saying what you want me to hear. So if I don't say what you want to hear, then you're going to get pissy with me. But that's just, look, Thomas, I know, fans get frustrated with, think about all the times teams got, remember the Campo days? Remember the end of the Remember the end of the Switzer days? Remember the Jason Garrett days when they couldn't wait for Jason Garrett? Every team goes through this. It is what it is. You might not like it, but that's where this team is right now. They're a mess.
Yeah, and you mentioned, we mentioned the production meeting about the drafts. There was the Cowboys have drafted a lot better recently, but there was a stretch there when they would reach, sometimes I watch a ton of college football. I'd be like, who is this guy? You know what I mean? Like, and I feel like some of the Saints drafts recently have been kind of like that. And they're reaching for some guys, and and I think that it doesn't get talked about a lot. But when you constantly miss for a few years, and not just first round, I'm talking about those first few rounds when you're expecting people to contribute, that adds up. And I think that's been one of the issues too.
And the ineptitude of this organization, I've said this before, people want to blame Dennis Allen and Derek Carr for everything. It goes way beyond Dennis Allen or Derek Carr. It just does. Mr. Horace talking about time to replace Loomis. I don't want to say unfortunately because I like Mickey Loomis, and I think he's done a really good job overall. But Mickey Loomis has, like Drew Brees and like Sean Payton, has earned the right to leave when he wants to leave. If he doesn't want to leave, he ain't leaving. Now, he might not want to be a part of another rebuild here. He may leave on his own. In fact, I'd probably lean it's more likely than not. But I'd be surprised if he goes anywhere after this year. But after next year, he may not want to be a part of this, because I really think that's how bad next year is going to be and where we're going. All right, let's get to big bucks because we have spent a half an hour banging our heads against the wall. I think we all kind of feel the same way. If you watch this team on a regular basis, again, I'm not disagreeing with the fans' opinions. I hear you. I don't necessarily think you're wrong, but we talk about what people want and the people who own this team and make the money for this team, what they want, they're different things. That's the frustrating part about all this, I guess. They don't care what we think. They really don't. They never have. And empty seats ain't going to do it. All right, let's get to big bucks and make our picks for the week, because we've got some interesting games. And Tom, especially, I know a lot of us are going to have Dallas Buffalo in our big bucks. We don't have our strip of 3 big games because I think all the big games are in our big bucks this week. So we're just going to talk about them here. Before we do that, we got to show you last week's results. Oh, man. Good and bad. Now, the good is there's a lot of green on here. You see the green at the top. But the bad news is if you look at the top right, we're all still in red for the season. We're working our way out of it. We're clawing our way slowly but surely. As we make our picks for the week, we're going to go from worst to first as we always do, which means the turkey, Thomas Casale of the week, is up.
And I'm going to be honest, I forgot.
Hold on.
I forgot the hat.
Oh, okay. Well, you got the little turkey there, right? It's right there. So
okay.
There you go.
Well, listen, I could have told you last week that I was going to be in this position. I mean, even when I recited the picks, they didn't sound that good. So, and I got to stop taking the Eagles in teasers. It's not working out.
No Eagles in there.
I'm going to go through. No, I'm going to go through the first 4 quick because the last one is obviously a big game in my neck of the woods. Okay, Miami of Ohio getting 6.5 against App State. Frank Martin, a really good coach, as an underdog. I'm going to take the 6.5. I bet Boise State on the opener, but their quarterback transferred shortly after. I think this is going to be a defensive battle. I took under 48.5 there. Listen, I'm going to keep riding the Bengals train. I don't think that Browning is the greatest quarterback ever, but I think they got some momentum. And listen, the Vikings, they don't even know who's going to be under. I mean, they know who's going to be under center, but it's not very encouraging. So I like the Bengals as a short favorite at home. I'm going with Aunt Mabel and everybody again, or the second week with the Bengals.
That's definitely an Aunt Mabel pick.
Yes. Listen, I really like the Jets this week. Not only everyone's talking about Tyreek Hill, and they should, but you're looking at an offensive line for Miami that's so decimated. I think that pretty soon I'm going to get a call to see if my son can play center for them. I mean, they don't have any offensive linemen, and when you don't have offensive linemen against the Jets, they can muddy that game up a little bit. And if Hill doesn't play, Tua's not the same quarterback. So 8.5, that line's gone down. I'm still going to take it. Then, listen, Bills Cowboys. I'm going to be honest with you. But the great days of my life happened because of the Bills. Okay, you can have that Don Beebe play if you want it. I don't give a crap about that stuff. 2 Super Bowl wins, 52-17, easy money. I went after that first Super Bowl in Buffalo to watch the Cowboys play. That's one of the games Emmett sat out when he was asking for more money. 13-10 Bills. I got stuff thrown on me. People were dumping beer on me. I hate Buffalo. It's a miserable place. Don't ever go there if you don't have to. Having said all that, from a betting perspective, I don't know if there's I like a game more than I like the Bills -2 this week. I think them at home, one of the problems the Cowboys have had in the past is they can get up to that level like they did against the Eagles, but they have trouble getting up to it again. We'll have to see if they can do it. I like the Bills, as much as I hate to say it, to beat the Cowboys this week.
To back your Jets point, and I don't think it's been talked about enough, and I did not put it in my big bucks, but I almost did. I have trouble putting anything with under, and the number starts with a 3 when the Dolphins are in it, but the weather is supposed to be horrendous in Miami.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about winds of over 20 miles an hour with torrential rains. Now, we didn't get that last week in Cleveland, which is why I backed off, and we're supposed to have the same thing in Cleveland last week. It didn't happen, so I backed off this under, but I will say fans should watch the weather in Miami as we get into like Saturday. And if it looks like it's still going to be as bad as we think it's going to be, the weather that's supposed to come through here on Saturday, it's supposed to be in Miami on Sunday, and it's supposed to be bad. Also, it's supposed to be bad in Jacksonville. So everybody keep an eye on that. All right, to your Bills-Cowboys point, I'll be up on that in just a minute. First, we got the Guru.
All right, yeah, my best play this week got the Broncos-Lions under. The way these teams have been trending, neither offense is very good right now. Russell Wilson hadn't really gotten going. Jared Goff's had a terrible second half. Broncos defense been better, so I'm thinking that total's too high there for the over to hit, so I'll go with the under. And for the Saints-Giants, going with the Giants here, taking the 6 points. I'm going to ride with forget about it, DeVito. I don't know if they'll win straight up, but to me, 6 points is a value. I don't see where the Giants are that far off from the Saints, because even though they're not as talented, they have the better coach by far in Brian Dable. So I'll take the points there. And then got the Packers. That's a -3 actually, an alt line against the Bucks. It was 3, moved to 3.5, but I feel more comfortable with the 3, so I'll pay up a little bit to get that. I think that'll be a fairly close game, but the Bucks pass defense is terrible, so I'll bank on Jordan Love being able to make enough plays to lead the Packers to win by at least a field goal. And got the Vikings money line on the opposite side of the fence of Thomas on this one. I like the Vikings to slow down Jake Browning. I think he comes back to earth. And Nick Mullins, I think, is actually an upgrade over Josh Dobbs. So I'll take the Vikings to win straight up. And then I got a 3-team teaser this week. Kept getting burned by the 2-teamer. So I'm going to try my luck with a 3-teamer. Got the Jets there with the 14.5. I'm with Thomas on that. I think they keep that thing close. Got the 49ers -6.5. I feel like that spread was too much to just lay the points. It's 12.5, but I'm comfortable with the 6.5 against Arizona. And then the Seahawks +10. They've lost 4 in a row, but the Eagles have also been struggling lately. So I feel like they'll be able to keep that thing fairly close.
You've been doing pretty good with that last 3-team thing over the course of the year. So, hey, man, bettors beware. When someone is hot with something, don't look at that overall number. Look at what a bettor or a prognosticator or a handicapper, whatever you want to call us, has been good at, and that's one thing that Spencer's been good at. So keep your eye on that 3-team 6-point teaser. Mark is saying the Giants fans buying up all the cheap ticks. Gabe, was it you that would tell me was it 40 cents?
45 cents in Carolina.
45 cents in Carolina. I think the cheapest ticket I saw, you can buy a ticket for the Saints game. I think I saw an $8 ticket. So an $8 ticket. So, yeah, I think Giants fans. And you like to keep asking us about Trevor Penning. Trevor Penning is a healthy scratch because he sucks. Okay? Nobody wants to see Trevor Penning in the game, I promise you. Mark, I don't know if you do or not, but you keep asking us about Trevor Penning, and he's just not good. He's just not good. All right, speaking of sometimes good, sometimes not good, that's me. I actually had a good week last week. Look, I'm going to go right into it. Cowboys-Bills. I completely disagree with my friend the Cowboys fan here. Look, all I hear is that the Bills need this game like blood. That's what all these sharps that I listen to. I like the Bills this week, blah, blah, blah. I mean, yeah, the Cowboys need it like blood too. If they're going to stay and have any chance to win the NFC East, and let me tell you something, winning the NFC East is a big deal. Even if you don't get that bye, even if the Niners get the 1 seed bye, being the 2 seed is a huge difference over being the 3 or 4 seed, I think, this year, because you don't want to have to play San Francisco until the end, is my opinion. And to have that 2 seed is going to make a world of difference. The Cowboys know this. To be able to have a chance to play at Jerry World, they probably have to win out. They know that they need to win out. And look, what do the Bills do best? They turn the ball over. What do the Cowboys do best? They create turnovers. The Cowboys are, in their 10 wins this season, they are +15 in the turnover ratio, +15. And their 3 losses, they only have one turnover. Josh Allen's going to turn the ball over in this game. I like the Cowboys. I think they win straight up. Got them in a money line, I think, at a value. All right, my teaser, I've kind of gone back and forth. I changed this one because I had some different lines. I had the Steelers in there at one point, but their line changed and I couldn't do it. Look, I think Kansas City's going to win this game over New England. I'm not confident they're going to win by 8, but I do think they're going to win this game. I don't know what's wrong with the Chiefs, but if they can't beat the Patriots by 2 points, then they got huge problems. And the Buccaneers, they have covered a teaser leg in 8 straight games. They helped me last week. I'm going for it again. I like them to at least keep this game against the Packers close. And, I was giving Spencer some grief earlier in the week about the Bucs maybe winning this division. Maybe they are a value because the Sharps are starting to put their money on Tampa Bay at +180. Maybe they are a value to win the NFC South. We'll see how they play in this one. And then I got a teaser leg. I like Minnesota with the +9 against Cincinnati. I'm with Spencer on that. And I like the over, as well as the Vikings have been playing defense and been playing low-scoring games. I think they're ready to break out a little bit. And I do think that Browning has enough to help get this total somewhere around the low 40s. My money line parlay, I like Detroit over Denver. This is a great spot for the Lions going back home. Denver is in the final of a 3-game road swing. Meanwhile, the Bears are who we thought they were, and Cleveland has to win this game. So that's my money line parlay there. And then this is the anti-Aunt Mabel game of the year. What the hell are the Panthers doing only getting 3 against the Falcons. I don't care if it's in Charlotte. I don't care if it's in Alberta, Canada. I don't care if they play it on the North Pole. There is no when I looked at this line, I had to look at it like 8 times to make sure it was real. Why in the hell are the Panthers only getting 3 points from the Falcons? Something stinks, and when it stinks, there's usually a reason. I'm going to go with Vegas on this one because everybody's going to be betting on Atlanta in this game except me. I'm going to take Carolina, and we'll see what happens. Gabe?
Yeah, I'm starting on my picks with a 2-team teaser. I'm taking Arizona plus 18.5. You can give me almost any NFL team plus 18.5, and I'll take it. Arizona's been blown out in their last 3 against San Francisco. I think it's time they turn it around. I think this game will be closer than 18.5. Arizona is a better team with Kyler. And let's be honest about that. Kyler's fighting for his job, and you get a healthy James Conner. So I like Arizona to keep it closer than 18.5, not necessarily close, though. And then you guys already touched on the Bills, Cowboys. I like Dallas plus 8. Dallas doesn't get blown out often, and the Bills only have 1 win by more than 8 points since October 1st, and that was against the Jets. So give me Dallas plus 8 anytime. I think this Dallas team's for real. I faded them last week, not making that mistake again. Second teaser, I've got Minnesota plus 9 against Cincinnati, same as you, Jim. I think we get some Mullins magic in this game. I think it's a close game. I'm not picking an outright winner, but if you give me 9 points on either side, I'll take it. And then Tennessee, Houston. I
typed that in. It is under 43, and I'm good for at least one mistake a week. That's my mistake this week. It is under.
That's okay.
43.
You tripped me up. They've gone under 43 points in 3 of their last 4. With C.J. Stroud still in concussion protocol, and Derrick Henry, who goes for at least 150, it feels like, against the Texans every game. I feel like it's going to be a reliance on the running game. Very few possessions in this game. It's going to be ugly. It's going to be tough. So give me the under 43. I don't think either team gets to 20 per se. Next, I have Ravens minus 3 against the Jags. Listen, Baltimore's the AFC's best team. Baltimore has some big games coming up. They play the 49ers. They play the Dolphins. This is a must-win for them if they want the 1 seed. And the Jaguars are under 500 all-time in prime time. You mentioned possible weather in Jacksonville as well. I think the Ravens can play ugly football a lot better than the Jaguars can. So give me the Ravens here to cover. I think this is a pretty easy pick, not even mentioning a banged-up Trevor Lawrence and Christian Kirk. I have the Chargers over the Raiders tonight. Listen, Easton Stick is better than he's given credit for. I think Austin Eckler is due for a breakout game. Josh Jacobs is out for a Las Vegas team that I think is just ready to mail it in. I think they're done with the season as we saw last week. I think there's value in the Chargers here. If you give me plus money with them, I'll take it every time. And then I have a 2-team bowl season parlay to kick it off. I think UCLA and Boise State can both score quickly, even without the quarterback, as Thomas mentioned earlier. I think Chip Kelly is coaching for his college life here with UCLA. I think it'll be a high-scoring game. And then in Texas Tech against Cal, Texas Tech gets the running back. He withdrew his name from the portal or NFL draft. And listen, Cal's offense is terrible. They've got a lot of guys that are opting out or transferring. And anytime you give me Texas Tech against Cal, it's just traditionally, I'll take Texas Tech here to win by more than a field goal.
I love your Chargers Raiders pick. The only thing that makes me nervous is going back. You say Easton Stick is it's not that bad. I don't know that we know enough about Easton Stick. Look, I went back.
I didn't say he's not that bad. I said he's better than people give him credit for. He didn't look terrible when he came in last week.
What scares me is I thought he had played more than he did. Maybe I just watched more preseason than I thought I did. Because I really did. I thought he's played some, and Justin Herbert missed a game or two, but really he hasn't played. So but I like that Chargers pick too. I think they win tonight too. Let's talk about that very briefly. Let's get a Thursday night football. We already have Gabe's. Thomas, what do you like tonight?
Yeah, I mean, you guys, Nick Mullins, Easton Stick, you guys think everybody's Tommy DeVito, just going to come in here and have this backup magic. I see. I got to be honest with you. I see this. I can't bet an under 35 because it's just, but I think the Raiders defense has been playing well enough, in the last few games. They definitely played well enough to win last week when they scored 0 points. I see this being a real ugly game. Now, turnovers and stuff, you can always go over 35, but my lean would be to the under.
Spencer.
Yeah, I feel like a Zamir White prop. I'm not sure where it's at right now, but I think the over will be a value because of Josh Jacobs being out. Jacobs' prop typically is around 70 rushing yards. I wouldn't think the books would give White nearly that much cred, but they don't really have anything else in that backfield, and the Chargers' defense sucks. So I think White will, assuming the props around 50, I'd take the over.
I love that. I never even thought about that, but I think that's a great bet there. Back in Thomas's point, and I would probably take the over just because it's fishy, but back in Thomas's point, the Chargers both of these teams are not only playing backup quarterbacks, but the Raiders are without their best offensive weapon in Josh Jacobs, and the Chargers are without their best offensive weapon, Keenan Allen. And I don't know if is Devontae playing tonight or not.
Yeah, Devontae Adams is playing.
He is playing. I thought
no Keenan Allen, no Josh Jacobs.
I thought he was sick. I thought he was sick.
I think he was questionable, but I'm pretty sure he's playing. Jacobs, they ruled out.
I would take the Chargers +3. I think this is gonna be a weird game. So that's kind of what I like there. But look, it's been a weird week. We get the Tommy DeVito experience on Sunday. I really am interested to see what that crowd is like. As I said, we'll go final thoughts. We'll go from right to left on your screen. Spencer Guru.
Go Cajuns. Cajuns playing the New Orleans Bowl this week against Jacksonville State. I would not bet on them, though. I like Jacksonville State -2.5, but hopefully the Cajuns prove me wrong.
Gabe?
Just backing off Spencer's point, we've got a New Orleans Bowl preview coming your way tomorrow. We'll recommend a best bet there. But my final thought, the Mills Mafia is back up this weekend. Davis Mills is going to go into Nashville. He's going to beat the hell out of the Titans who were wearing the Oilers jerseys. That's disrespectful. Give me the Texans to bounce back.
Why wasn't that in your best bets then?
Because I don't believe in Davis Mills that much, Jim.
Which one is it? Come on now. Tom, what you got?
Yeah, listen, I'm going to be rooting for you guys, but my 2 cents is your Cowboys teasers. That's what I think. I think the Bills by 10 on Sunday. And again, I hope I'm wrong, but we'll see. By 10.
I think that, I think Josh Allen is a mess. I don't know what's going on with Josh Allen. I know he's had a few good weeks, and now that Joe Brady, but I don't think Joe Brady is a quarterback whisperer. We shall find out.
Yeah, but I also, too, I hate the Bills so much. I could be just picking them because, it hasn't gone that well for me this year. So if I pick the Bills, that gives the Cowboys a better chance to win.
Well, I will give you a little spoiler alert. If it comes down to Saints-Falcons in the final game of the year for the NFC South Championship, I'm probably going to pick the Falcons for the same reason. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Maybe it'll mean something. Maybe it won't. Maybe I don't know. Maybe Spencer's right. Maybe I'm right. Who knows? We'll find out. Spencer's been on the Falcons all the year, by the way. That's what I'm talking about. All right, we're going to end it tomorrow morning with Datitude. Larry Holder will be my guest. We will not have a Datitude next Friday, so this is the last time Larry and I will be together until the last Friday of the year. And before we go off, Terry says she would die first before picking the foul. You see, that's why we get paid to tell you what we think's going to happen and not what we want to happen, because you can't work in this business if you're just betting because you hate someone. I mean, if I think the Falcons are going to win, as much as I dislike them, I'm going to bet on them. If I think they're going to win. I'm not betting on them this week. I'm betting on the Panthers. Datitude tomorrow morning. Bayou Bets. We'll be back here next Tuesday at 4 o'clock, a special time for the fantasy show, which will run at 3 o'clock. So we're going to have back-to-back shows. And if you subscribe to the Bayou Bets YouTube channel, you won't even have to remember it. You'll just get a notification, and you'll see how that goes. But that's going to be it for us today. We hope everyone has a great weekend. We hope we have some kind of happy show to bring you next Tuesday. I don't know. I have no clue what we're going to have, but we'll find out. We'll see you next weekend, next Tuesday. Everybody have a great weekend. Adios.